Well, the way I connected with Cold Spring Harbor is actually quite a strange story. I started at Columbia with Stupchansky and was planning, the first couple of years I finished my courses and was planning to start a research project with Drosophila. And shortly before the Luria Delbert paper was published, Professor Stupchansky gave me a copy of it to report on in a class. He knew what was going on here. He spent summers here and was a friend of the director. He was very plugged into the activities here. And I got so excited about that paper. And I gave this report sort of jumping up and down with excitement. And Stupchansky said, why don't you go to Cold Spring Harbor and learn how to work with bacteria and do your thesis with bacteria, which I thought was a wonderful idea. My husband was in the Army then, and so I could just pick up and go. And so I came here in the summer of '44, planning just to spend the summer learning what was what. And then I went back to Columbia for a year, but it didn't work out because they weren't set up for bacterial work. They didn't have the right equipment and so on. So I came back and stayed until I finished my thesis, and then I was appointed to staff, so I actually stayed for 10 years. And my husband, when he came out of the Army, loved it here and was willing to do the big commute, 4 hours a day. He did that for 10 years.
Yeah.
But that summer in '44, it was quite an amazing experience for me because the excitement about what was happening was very intense. I mean, Luria and Delbert were here, and phage course hadn't yet started, but there was a lot of work going on that was really very thrilling. And I had never known how to even hold a pipette, or I had never had a course in microbiology. I didn't know one bacterium from another. And I was just sort of thrown into it. Dr. Demeritz gave me a culture and sat me down near an ultraviolet lamp, and he said, go, induce mutations. And mutations were what I had been interested in. That's what I wanted to do with Drosophila, and so it was fine with me to start doing that. And those years were just marvelously exciting. There was so much feeling that suddenly we would be able to understand genes, and that was something that hadn't seemed at all likely for a long, long time. So it was a wonderful time to be here. And of course there were people here who were marvelous to know, to talk to. I guess my lab was right next door to Hershey's, and people you met on the beach were, there must have been a dozen future Nobel laureates that you just talked to casually. And we did some square dancing on the lawn, which is now the parking lot.
All the spaces I've taken.
And it was a very a group with a lot of humor and very, very serious work, but at the same time, Delbert was a great one for practical jokes. He did some really, I remember one time when he had his phage people put on bandana masks, and they broke into Dr. Demeritz's living room when he was interviewing some local wealthy people. They had water pistols, and this gang of outlaws ran through the living room squirting water pistols. Dr. Demeritz was not amused. He was not amused.
Really?
But Delbert was a great one for practical jokes, and that's one I have to remember.